Hey everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovers YouTube channel, where today I want to talk about bottling up an emotion. Now, this is something that I think many people have to hear in a video format because it's hard to understand what we mean just by a message on a post or even a short TikTok at times. So we need a longer video on what we mean by this because there's a lot of misconceptions. There's also a lot of really bad information on the internet pertaining to why bottling up emotions and anger is a bad thing, which is actually not true. It's one of the best skills you can have in life. Anyone who's successful at any endeavor in their life, long-term consistent success, is not venting and yelling all the time. More than likely, they actually bottle up emotions, they feel it, and they address things, delay. As Seneca said for anger, the best remedy for anger is delay, which means you're bottling up the emotions of anger and addressing it in the future, whether that's a minute in the future, an hour, a day, or a week. It also doesn't mean that you're never not talking about the way you're feeling. That's what people misunderstand, but you can tell when people are very angry about this topic, you can tell they've never actually practiced this for an extended period of time. So I can have sympathy and empathy for them when they're like, this is stupid. You have to talk about your emotions. This is terrible advice. No, but look at it anecdotally. Look at the world that we live in. I always say, look at things on the other side of the coin. If yelling and screaming and venting and complaining and whining worked, then why do we have so much more mental health problems today than we did 75 years ago? Yes, people bottled things up more in an unhealthy way, but now we've gone all the way to the other side. As humans, the teeter-totter, right? Never talk about your emotions. It's the worst thing ever. Be a man. Versus talk about your emotions all the time and let people know how you're feeling every second of the day. No, this is just as bad as this. It's in the middle. There's a balance. And there's no right or wrong way to know what the correct balance is. So before I go any further, please subscribe. Hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this. Please comment. I'm always down for a discussion. This is one of the topics that people disagree with the most, understandably so. But usually the people that are disagreeing, most of the people I'm coaching, this is really affecting their lives because they've never given it a shot the other way when they learn, oh, I see what they mean. I could talk about my emotions. I could talk about how I'm doing, but I'm not doing it in a constructive manner. There's a difference between, hey, I'm really suffering right now. I'm having a hard time. I'm in a bad spot. Can you please help? And then we go through it in a constructive manner with hardships versus, I hate my life. This is the worst thing ever. You shouldn't do this. The world should cater to me. I don't like the way it feels. And then that type of victim mentality gets you absolutely fucking nowhere. Nowhere. Zero places. Let's use a weird example. Let's go to the most expensive real estate in any city. And we put up a chair in front of the building. We talk to all men and women who come out. How many men and women that were not inherited maybe a bunch of money, but they built businesses or they came from nothing and they built things and they live in those buildings, like the guy for Starbucks, I believe the founder of Starbucks, he was raised in America, which is called Section 8 housing, so government-assisted housing, really came through like a tough time in his life, and I'm sure there's many people like that. If we sat and asked them, hey, how did you become successful? Do you let your emotions out all the time? They'd be like, no, that doesn't do you any good. Men and women alike. Yes, I have tough days. Yes, I go through hard times, and I might get angry here and there, but for the most part, I learned to delay my response. I don't need the world to cater to what I'm going through. I bottle up those emotions. They might not use that term. Most people don't use that term. It's a term that we use. But it's synonymous with I allow that to kind of simmer away. I don't vent. I don't complain. I'm a human, so I slip up here and there. Again, we're looking for progress, not perfection. That's going to be the story of 99% of anyone that leaves the best real estate on earth. And if you don't agree with that, go try it. Go ahead, do it. Sit in front of one of these buildings and see. You're not going to see a lot of victims because the victim mentality is not synonymous with long-term success in relationships, 30, 40-year marriages, just one example, long-term compatibility with coworkers that have different views than you. It's just not going to work as a long-term solution. And you really should think about changing this. How often do I bottle up the way I'm feeling throughout the day? As much as I can. And if I am going to bring something up, I try and ask myself, it doesn't always work because I'm a human, if I am going to bring this up right now, is it going to go the way I want it to? And if I act in the moment almost every single time and I bring things up in an emotional state, it almost never works well, ever. It comes out aggressive. I come out with a tone. I come out thinking in a very irrational way. So I've had to train this like a muscle. As Albert Ellis says in his Anger book, one of the best books I've ever read on this planet, which should really substitute, in my opinion, every anger book that exists. There's only one need, in my opinion. That book, How to Control Your Anger Before It Controls You, nothing I've ever read on anger even comes close to that. Oh, punch pillows, yell, scream at the world. No, as Albert Ellis says, the best way to get better at anger is practice. Practice, practice, practice. The best way to get better at the violin is practice, practice, practice. Not bottling your emotions up, always complaining, always yelling, always screaming with no balance, always letting the world know that they should cater to your feelings. You instill the most extreme, rigid demands and beliefs that will absolutely hinder your peace of mind and your emotional disturbance long term. There is no doubt it is a scientific, repeatable fact of nature. I just see it all day long. How many people have I met that have always talking, complaining, yelling, venting, but then they have the rest of their life is in balance? I can't name one fucking person. Can you? Because I can't. I can't. And I have a huge data pool. And I work with a lot of people. And OCD sufferers are not, because I have a lot of spouses that come in from recommendations, boyfriend, girlfriends. It's not that I just work with OCD sufferers, of course, primarily. OCD and anxiety. But I see it with people I know. The most successful humans I've ever met in my life, my friends that have multiple kids, great careers, married, long-term, not giving into instant gratification all the time. They are excellent men and women at bottling up emotions. And when they do talk about things, they don't just blah for the most part. Of course, they're human. And they do it in a balanced manner for the most part. You can just see when you work with human psychology and human mindset at the level that we do, I can see, for the most part, a human's entire life in one long post. The way they yell, the way they scream, the way they... And when I was like that, I was saying this about myself, and I'd be like, he probably does this in his life wrong, that, his relationships are probably messed up, because he's speaking like that, and all that would be correct if it was back in the day. So when I hear people just yelling and screaming and leave a person right now if they do that, that's the worst thing ever. No, I'm telling you, their whole life is scripted right in front of me for the most part. That sounds arrogant, but when you do what I do for a living, it's usually spot on, because you're not responding to someone with a long message about how they're an idiot, how they're a moron, how you have to always tell people how you're feeling. You could just see it. You could see it in the photos they post. You could see it in how they speak. I implore you to practice balance. It doesn't mean you can't talk about the way you're feeling. But I'm telling you, if you think you're going to act on emotions all the time, if you're going to scream, if you're going to berate, if you're going to tell people the world needs to cater to you, me, 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 the self-entitlement world that we live in, all of that. Doesn't matter what we tell narcissism. The title doesn't matter. It's the habits that have to change. I'm telling you, if you give into this, your chances of recovery, what's that number below 1? 0. Zero chance of recovery. 0 chance of a long-term, fulfilling, calm life with unconditional self-life, other acceptance, and stoicism. They are opposites. Not learning to bottle up emotions and screaming at the world for having to cater to you and yelling all the time is the complete opposite. It's A to Z. It's 1 and -1. It's hot and cold. It's peanut butter and jelly. It's Angry Orchard and Guinness beer, which is dog shit. It's the worst fucking beer ever. I had to do that for Sam. He'll be like, you idiot. But in all seriousness, it's not going to work. It's not a good term strategy for contentment in your life. Phil@OCDrecovery.com. Let me know what you think. please comment down below, even if you think I'm an idiot. And then we can go from there and have a discussion. As always, enjoy the rest of your day.